So Jedi Survivor is a really good game in my opinion. I think it's probably one of the best Star Wars games we've had in a long time. I did everything you could possibly do in this game. The side quests, the side different collectible items, so much to do in this game, and I did it all. And after finishing the game, it had me thinking, damn, this game gets really dark. And that's what I want to talk about on this episode of Nerd Space. Specifically, we're going to take a look at the side quests and the side elements, because while the main story does get dark, some of the side quests might surprise you. I mean, there are some really dark stories told in these side quests. So my name is Ruben with Nerd Space, and I'm here to tell you the top 6 side quests that get really dark. Also, before we get started, I want to remind you guys that since we are talking about some of the storylines of the game, this is going to be a huge spoiler warning for you guys before you continue on with this video. But with that out of the way, let's get it.
We're more than happy to bring holo tactics to Pyloons. Could liven up the place. Let us make haste, Tully Moo.
So the side quest, locate the odd pair, on paper doesn't seem like it's that bad of a quest. Like, it doesn't seem that bad at all until you start actually thinking about this quest a little bit more. So first off, you start this quest by going to Pyloon Saloon and talking to one of the people at the bar, Morin. Now Morin, the easiest way to explain this guy is that he's just a dick. His personality, everything he does, everything he talks about, he just comes off as really douchey, to be honest. And he's probably one of my favorite characters inside this bar for that reason. But he mentions a couple of travelers over in the Boiling Bluff, and that they're up to something and he doesn't know exactly what's going on, and that Cal should go explore and see what's going on. And it turns out when you find them, they are being attacked by a Mogu, and if you don't know what that is, well, you will, because it's one of the first enemies you come across in the game that will kick your ass easily. And then after finishing the fight, you get up to talk to them, and that's when you meet Bohema and Toli. So as it turns out, these two actually put themselves in danger with this Mogu just so they can collect some combat data. They wanted to do some research on this creature, which again, on paper, sounds fine until you find out exactly what that research is for. It's for a board game, and not just any board game, Holo Tactics, that's a gambling board game. So these two gamblers, so obsessed with gambling, decide to put themselves at risk and Cal at risk just so they can get a new character for their new board game. That was their reasoning for putting themselves and others in danger. Oh, and it gets much, much worse, guys, because as it turns out, Cal, being the nice and great guy he is, he thinks it's a fantastic idea to now offer these two a place at Pyloon Saloon to where they can now do their gambling games with other people. And not that there is anything wrong with gambling, but Cal knows the owner, Grease, obviously, right? And we all know that Grease is a recovering gambling addict. So Cal seems to think it's a great and fantastic idea to take these two gamblers, bring them to the saloon, have them open a gambling game inside this saloon, where I want to remind you guys, a gambling addict owns this saloon. And of course, no surprise here, one of the opponents you face in this gambling game, Holo Tactics, is Grease himself. So great job, Cal. You decided to help Grease relapse. Good job, buddy.
Easy. It won't hurt you.
Psych!
This is going to be the only one on the list that technically doesn't actually deal with a real side quest, but more so an achievement. And that doesn't make it any less dark, guys. So let's start at the beginning. In order to start the side quest, you just need to have tamed one of the different creatures you can ride throughout the game. And these creatures are adorable, especially the Nekos. They're adorable creatures that help you get around to some really difficult places that you normally wouldn't be able to get to without the help of these creatures. And do you know how you repay them? You throw them off a cliff. That's exactly right. This game gets down into some real deep animal cruelty, because this animal, this creature that you just built a bond with, that you just met, and you took some time to tame this creature, make it trust you. In order to get this trophy and achievement, you have to take this creature run up to the nearest cliff you can possibly find, jump off that cliff with the creature, and then jump off the creature back onto land and watch as the creature falls to its doom. Damn, that's some dark stuff right there. But you know what? Hey, it's okay because you do get an amazing reward for this, an achievement. Great job, guys. Now you can plot on the game thanks to the death of an innocent animal.
I'm Cal. This is BD1.
Are you here to rescue us?
We were just exploring. How long you been here?
We have been trapped down here for at least a standard cycle. Maybe more.
We?
Ah, yes. It is just me. And has been for some time. I will return to the outpost at Rambler's Reach. We had a domicile there.
So number 4 in this list, unlike the rest of these, actually has a happy ending, but it's still a pretty dark storyline. And that's going to be with the Abandoned Shack storyline that you start over in the stables with the Prospector. But either way, he tells you that you should go investigate the workshop. And when you do, you head over there and you find out that's been raided by a bunch of raiders, unsurprisingly to anyone. Well, after disposing of the raiders, you get inside this workshop and then you find a droid. And you rescue this droid who will actually become a new member of Rambler's Reach. However, you also learn the tragic backstory of this droid. So it turns out that this droid was trapped here for a really long time. We don't know exactly how long, but it's been stuck down here by itself for a really long time because its owners and itself were attacked and the droid got trapped after the owners were killed. Not to mention, thanks to a force echo nearby, you also learned that one of the owners died in front of the droid, apologizing that he wasn't able to get the droid out of there safely. It's a really, really sad story, and it's horrible that this droid just had to sit there and realize because it doesn't have the right updates to be a surgeon droid, it couldn't save its owner. It's a really amazing story, but also dark because this droid, after you rescue it, you take it back to its ranch and you learn that the droid wants to become a surgeon droid on the home planet of its owners. So it's a really, really cool story, really unique, and yes, it has a happy ending, but when you think about that, this droid had to sit there and watch all of its family die in front of it, and then just sit there and just think about how it could not save them for years potentially. It's a sad, sad story, honestly.
Long time. But most of all, I can't stand all this damn peace and quiet.
So number 3 on this list probably hit me the hardest because this was probably my favorite side quest throughout the entire game, and that has to be the bounty hunter quest. So this is a really long quest line as it requires you to hunt down different bounty hunters that are after you, take them out, and then take the pucks that you collect from them back to Kaj, who is an ex-bounty hunter inside Paloon Saloons. And then you can exchange this for different types of currency and upgrades and all different kinds of stuff. And this quest is so cool for so many different reasons. One, you get to fight all these different bounty hunters, and it adds a new cool little storyline. But then you get a really, really awesome cameo at the end of the storyline. However, once you finish the bounty hunter storyline, once you defeat all the bounty hunters, that's when things get really dark and you learn the true intentions of Kosh. So a character that you really end up liking and enjoying and doing these missions for, and I really enjoyed her presence, you actually learn is against you this entire time.
How's it going, Gage?
Cal, better. Now that you've taken down every hired gun that Silk Thomas sent after you.
Yeah. Be good not to worry about bounty hunters for a while.
Yeah, about that. Oh, that's a good trick. I was just a bit off.
No, it wasn't.
So because she thought that, hey, the bounty on you wasn't high enough for her to go after you herself, she decides to tell all the other bounty hunters where they can find you. So that's how the bounty hunters are finding you, is because of her. And then she sends you after them to dispose of them and kill them. So that way, each time you kill one of those bounty hunters, it raises the price on your head. So that way the bounty gets higher and higher and higher until it gets to the point where it's enough money for Kaj to be like, all right, now it's worth my time. And then she decides to try to kill you herself and claim the bounty on you. Pretty dark because this character killed so many different people, setting them up for failure to be killed by you, and then turns around and tries to turn herself against you, and it's just pretty messed up. The only benefit that we get from this storyline is that you get an amazing cameo at the end when Boba Fett himself comes. But yeah, it just goes to tell you, never trust a bounty hunter.
Boba! Look looking slick, buddy.
Cage, it's been a while.
Hey, you two know each other?
We go way back. How about we bringing this Jedi together? Split the bounty right down the middle.
I'm not here for the Jedi.
Okay guys, so I have a personal vendetta against this side quest. Honestly, I almost put it as number 1 just because I'm so pissed off at this side quest and the prospector that gave it to us. So this side quest starts by talking to the prospector by the workstation right before you enter the ranch. And actually, it's probably the first side quest you would ever run into. So it's gonna be the first side quest that you probably would start, which makes this whole ridiculous side quest even worse because now you're less experienced, you don't have as much abilities, and you think, okay, this side quest seems like it's gonna be easy to do, let's go get this done. Anyways, after talking to a prospector, you learn that there's some other prospectors that went missing in the mines nearby, and she tells you that you should go check on them and see what's going on. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, this seems like an easy, simple search and rescue mission. Should be pretty quick. It's early on in the game. The side quest can't be that difficult. Well, I'm here to tell you, you can't be any more wrong, because after exploring these mines looking for these prospectors and learning that they all pretty much died and there's no one to rescue at all, you get to the end and realize that the reason why they were killed was because of a rancor. That's right, at the end of the mines, after exploring and looking for these survivors that you can hopefully rescue and bring back to the ranch, you find a rancor who can one-hit kill you basically, and is probably one of the most difficult bosses in this game. Do not mess with the rancors. Well, of course, my dumbass tried taking it on multiple times, and I got my ass kicked multiple times. What's even worse is that if you do manage to defeat this rancor and you go back to this prospector, you learn even more really messed up stuff. Specifically that this prospector already kind of knew about the rancor, and she just wanted you to make sure that the rancor was killed and that there was no prospectors alive, so that she can fulfill her own greed and go and collect all the materials and all the money for herself basically. Not to mention she does this at the beginning of the game. Screw you, prospector. But you know what, at least we got one last big laugh on her.
You didn't care about the prospectors, did you? You just wanted the priorite.
I'm gonna level with ya. Yes, and now that mine's all mine.
Better be careful. Who knows if there's another rancor down there.
You're just yanking my chain, right? Right?
Just looking around.
Well, away with ya! Nothing for you here! I have nothing to fear.
And number 1 has to be the Local Recluse. Now you start this quest by talking to Gulu and Guido, who are 2 very interesting characters inside the ranch, and they talk about someone that lives in the town that just kind of lives on their own, locks himself up in the house all day, and that they never actually ever see. You actually head over to this house, and first thing, the first red flag is that the house is covered with those creepy eyeball cameras that you see on Jabba's palace. Then turns out there's a blaster door, and you have to actually remove a panel and have BD slice it so you can get it open. After you get that open, there's another blaster door that you have to force slam to open. Finally, there is a green shield that you have to dash through in order to get past the shield. And when you finally get inside, you meet a very paranoid person who seems innocent enough, just very creepy looking. I mean, this is like stuff of nightmares, guys. I mean, look at him, he's terrifying. But he seems innocent enough for the most part. He just seems like he's extremely paranoid and he's scared of all the raiders, right? Well, again, like I said, things get a little darker whenever you convince him to trust you. And when he trusts you, he opens up the basement so you can go and collect some items down there. So you head down there just assuming that's just like any other time that you end up using your Jedi mind tricks, where you benefit off a collectible item or a chest hidden inside a room that opened after using your Jedi mind trick. Well, there's a lot more to find in there, because when you get down there, you find a dead body and a Force Echo, and you learn after exploring the Force Echo that this dead body is the brother of the guy that you just met upstairs. And it turns out that this guy went insane because he was so obsessed with finding the entrance to those meditation chambers that you've been looking around throughout this entire game for. He wanted to get in one so bad that he created those rolling mines that really annoy the fuck out of you. Yeah, that was because of this guy. He created those. And then he got so crazy that his brother was like, okay, you need to stop this. You're going crazy. You're going insane. You're obsessed. Well, how does that guy solve the situation? He kills his own brother. Yeah, he murdered his own brother because of his obsession for those meditation chambers. And just like creepy horror movie mechanics, he shows up just in time to see you finding the body and tries to kill you. Now, granted, he's not that difficult of an enemy. It's like fighting a regular enemy. But still, it's kind of terrifying learning his backstory and how drastic he was with his obsessions, that it leaves you with nightmares going forward after the game. The lesson to take away from this quest: if you see someone locking themselves away, don't go bothering them, because you're not gonna like what you find. But that does it for this episode of Nerd Space, guys. Thank you so much for clicking on this episode. I really want to know, what do you guys think about these side quests, and if you know any other darker side quests in this game, and which one gave you nightmares after playing through it. I'd love to know your opinions in the comments, guys. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you really enjoyed this video, and share this video with your friends and family. Anyways, until next time, guys, I'll see you on the next Nerd Space. Take care.